All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, hello everyone. This is Dr. Richard Barwell calling on again, and we've got a nice little webinar going on today. I want to try to make this a short little PowerPoint screen and then have an opportunity to talk to some people and exchange some information. So I want to talk about new possibilities, and I really want to talk about the power of confidence, because this whole thing, about practice success is really, really important. Obviously, we all want to be a success in practice, but we need to understand how that happens, and then we need to take a look at what's been going on in the world around us that's going to change that ability for success and bring it to your practice. So let's just get started with concepting what success really means. And of course, that varies. That depends on what the individual wants. There's people out there that like high volume practices, and they consider that to be a success. There's people that deal with how much income that the practice is generating to rate it as a successful practice. There's people that want to just service people and want to have quality care, and when they reach their maximum of what they can see comfortably in a day, that's success. There's people that are looking for results and measuring chiropractic in their office by how they help people. One of the things that we can really truly look at is a thing called patient visit average. That's going to tell us how you're doing with communicating and whether or not that you're getting a message across about the value of chiropractic. And so we need to take a look at some levels of what is the intent of your practice before you even begin, because that's going to determine whether or not you have a measurement for your success in practice. And so the intent in practices, we did some studies years ago when I was working with Dr. Guy Riekman, and we took a look at things that were happening in practices. Matter of fact, we even worked with a psychologist, Dr. Annette Long, looking at the California profiles, psychological profiles, to measure what really was going on with people that we considered to be successful in practice. And the bottom line really came across was the confidence that people had. So let's look at this for just a minute. If your intent is pain relief, and the thing is, we know that chiropractic does a good job with pain relief, so signs and symptoms-based care. If you're really good at getting rid of signs and symptoms with patients, and that's what you want to do, you can have a high volume or a lower volume practice. The problem with that one is that the minute that happens, that you're successful with that patient on pain relief, they're gone and they have to be replaced. So it means that you're constantly looking for new practice members to come in, for new patients to join in. And that's a lot of effort and a lot of work. And I can remember that my years, I was seeing well over 100 patients a day. And when I did my PVA and I measured it out, it was a 14 PVA, which meant that if I didn't see new patients for 2 weeks, I knew that within about a 4-week period, I was going to start to feel a drop in the practice, because the people were coming in, getting what they wanted, and leaving. So it was a challenge. The next level we sort of moved down to was the concept of musculoskeletal. So that means now we're looking for changes. And this is where things like you start to see changes in curves and changes in posture and changes in movement. That's different than pain relief, because the pain is the first thing that's going to sort of disappear or be reduced before you can really start to get the function level back into the musculoskeletal, the joint mechanics. So that's another thing to look at, and saying, well, if I'm seeing changes in curves, that may be successful. Now, the next step was, and this is the part where I really had a shift in my head in practice, was if chiropractic is based on the neurological approach, then I wanted to be able to say that's what I'm really changing, and I needed to have some sort of proof. There wasn't any. There wasn't any proof that we were really truly changing the central nervous system function. So we sort of had to wing it. But because we got good results, we just assumed that we're doing it, and we built our confidence around an assumption based on the results of getting rid of signs and symptoms or changing curves. There's levels such as wellness care or quantum, where you're starting to talk about energies, and then there's the energy healers, and then there's the bottom one of spiritual. Those bottom three are very, very difficult for us to measure currently with what we have available. I'm hoping in the future that we will have those things, but currently we don't have them. but you have to determine what is your intent in practice and how are you going to measure this to determine whether you're achieving your goals. So let's take a look at something. Here's some considerations. Is success in practice limited to one approach? Well, we already know that that's not true, because we know that you can have somebody that has a very successful practice relieving signs and symptoms and pain, and we have somebody that's really good at that wellness-based practice and having lots of patients maintain under wellness-type care with high PVAs. So again, that success is a moving sort of factor that we need to consider. What is it about that creates that? But how can, in chiropractic, we try to define chiropractic based on these concepts of pain relief or joint mechanics or wellness, and how can you have two or more approaches being successful in one profession? I mean, what really is chiropractic? What's really going on? I mean, that's where we end up with a lot of practice management programs out there that have all different sort of goals. I'm going to have a practice management program that's going to show you how to make all the money in the world. I'm going to have a practice management program based on a technique. And when you achieve the changes and curves, then you've got a successful practice. So we have to truly understand there's got to be something else involved in this, that there's something, a bigger picture than what we're just talking about if you can have two or more successful practices under different concepts. Is there a secret to success in practice? And there truly is. And that's one of the things that we discovered when we were working with the psychologist, Dr. Long. There is a secret to success in practice. There is no doubt about it. And it's not a hidden secret. We know about it, but it's how you attain it is that, how you put it into action, that's the key. So is there a question of doubt within the chiropractic profession? This is a real interesting question here, because if we take a look at this profession, we have a fractured profession. We have, within our own profession, we have great discussions and great arguments about what chiropractic truly is, from the American Chiropractic Association to the International Chiropractic Association to individual groups and organizations that were all arguing about this. And now we take a worldwide view, and we've got people that within the profession that want to take neuro out of it altogether, that want to make it strictly joint mechanics, that want to classify it basically under physical therapy, the other ones that want to just talk about philosophy, and that's all they want to talk about. So we have some challenges that are going on within the profession. So the main challenge here comes down to this: the relationship between the vertebral subluxation and the adjustment, as well as their role in the expression of innate, that continues to be the major point of contention within this profession. This is the issue. This is the issue that if we can just get the whole profession, all of the groups together to stop and for 1 minute and just talk about this and say, listen, what do we need to do to bring this back together again? Because this contention is killing the profession. So the secret to success is this: that contention that we have, that disagreement, that this relationship within the profession creates doubt. It creates doubt in the back of our minds that sits there at a subconscious level, and we fear the day that somebody is going to ask that question that we know we can't answer. How does this stuff really work? Where's the proof? Where's your evidence to make that statement? And then we're going to start floundering. And it's a problem, because doubt is the destroyer of confidence. And when you destroy confidence, you destroy the opportunity for success. Because the key to success is this: confidence in who you are and what you offer. That you have to know that you know that you know beyond any question of a doubt. That you can answer any question about chiropractic that gives a viable answer that makes sense to everybody, not just to that patient that you can short sell because they don't know what you're talking about, so they're just going to run with it. But I'm talking about those hard questions from other health practitioners or other people in our profession that can show, you can bring it all together and say there is a commonality here that brings all of this together. That's what we need to have. That's the confidence that will not only bring success to you and your practice, but will also bring success to this profession. And to me, that's the major step. So what's the requirements for confidence? Where does it come from? Well, we start out with a theory, but the theory must lead to supportive research. we must be able to have research that supports this concept that we have, that is really strong, well-based research that says this is the way it is. These are the hard facts. Okay, the research must produce evidence, and that evidence must be reproducible, not just by the person that did it the first time, but by other people that are doing research that can come up with the same conclusion. That's the key. That's the true key. When that happens, then you have evidence that can be relied on. And that's important because we have always fallen short on that level. This must apply to all approaches within chiropractic, not just one. It must be able to explain why all of these things work. It must then have a practice application. It must be useful for the practitioner and for the clinician in the field. If it isn't, it's just very interesting, but it doesn't mean anything if you can't translate it into how to use it in chiropractic. The new information is going to require education. Education not only for the doctor, but education from the doctor to the patient, because it's a new look at what's going on. And you must be prepared to spend some time and invest in getting that education. So you don't keep going to the old stuff. You need to be going to some new information that's being released out there. And I can tell you right now, if you ever get a chance to go and listen to Dr. Heidi Havoc, you need to do that. You need to come to New Hampshire and listen to what I'm going to be talking about very shortly. If you leave this at a theory, which is where chiropractic is right now, any attached action is then based on an unproven concept. When that is the case, it's called dogma. It's a dogmatic point of view. In other words, you're acting on information that you believe to be true, but you have no proof that that's happening. Dogma is incredibly dangerous. Incredibly dangerous. So just having philosophy without evidence doesn't do justice to chiropractic, because dogma imprisons the mind. It keeps you locked into that set, and you don't dare leave it because you have nothing else to fall back on. So you need to start to look around to find out that there's evidence that allows this theory to either be proven or disproven, or to move on to a new concept and a new set of principles to guide your actions. So what's new in chiropractic? Well, there's been many research studies showing the adjustment actually alters brain function. We know this. It's beyond challenge. It's been reproduced. It's been reproduced several times in different levels and different applications. It is absolute now that we have some new information that can change this entire profession. The evidence is reproducible and offers an explanation as to why all techniques work. So all of a sudden, you don't have to just be locked into one technique because there's been some research done to show that x-rays change the spinal curves. Of course it does. If you're doing it right, if you're changing the nervous system, you're going to get a change in the muscles and you're going to get a change in the curve. It's the same reason that when you get things working better, the body doesn't have to tell you there's pain anymore. When the body is working better, you're going to experience wellness. So this explains why all techniques work, and it should be the highlight for all technique masters to be able to say, we know what we're doing and why it works because we're changing central nervous system function. That's now the proof. So the unifying effect, chiropractic is no longer based on a theory. The old vertebral subluxation and nerve root pressure as cause of disease was always a theory. It has been a theory that has never been able to be proven, but now we have the research to show what the adjustment actually does. And it means that the chiropractic adjustment and the chiropractic approach remains neurologically based. And if you know your history, you know that that's how it started out with D.D. Palmer. It started out as a neurological base. It remains so. The vitalistic philosophy still stands in chiropractic with this new information. That has not changed. So we're not tearing anything apart or destroying it. We're actually building on the original concepts. The vertebral subluxation exists, but it exists as an effect of abnormal neurological function. And the reason that we get results with the adjustment is because via that stimulation of the central nervous system with the incredible neurological supplies in joints, especially joints of the spine, we get to input into that central nervous system basically a shock wave that allows it to reset itself. The measurement for effectiveness of care is improved neurological function, not whether their symptoms are gone, not whether the curve has changed, not if they're just feeling better, but we can actually now measure neurological function pre and post adjustments and show the differences. This is huge. This is incredible. This is what we need, and we've needed for over 120 years in chiropractic, and it's here. And yet the profession still is holding back and not understanding the importance of this. I'm going back to this concepting of success and the goals of practice. Here's what we discovered. We discovered there was a direct relationship to the intent of the care, pain relief, musculoskeletal, neurological wellness, and the PVA of the practice. And these were the PVAs that we discovered that showed that there was a difference in concept, not only from the doctor, but the understanding of the patient as to the value of chiropractic in their life. And people that understood that we were dealing with neurological practices showed 50 to 80 PVAs, and above that, people that were coming in for wellness care on a regular once a week or once every 2-week visit were 80 plus PVAs. Does this sound like this would be an improvement for you in your practice? Would you like to move from a PVA of 20 to a PVA of 30? Would that be of value to you? Or 30 to 50? Or 50 to 80? You have to think about what that would mean to you in your practice to really understand what's going on with it. We can measure all of this neurologically in these four. Today we have instrumentation, we have knowledge that says that we can measure neurological changes in these four areas. Well, that means that because we can measure it and prove it, every chiropractic practice today should have a PVA of 80 plus. And if you don't, then you're missing out on something. You're not as successful in your practice, no matter what your intent is, as what you could be. So attaining confidence, we need to understand the role of whys. The biggest thing that I found with my patients in compliance was I would make a suggestion to them and I would then say, follow up with, would you like to know why I've suggested this course of care? Their answer was always yes. And then I was able to explain to them why I did that. And once they understood the why, the compliance level went up. So knowledge creates confidence, not just in the doctor, but also the knowledge of from the patient as to why they're coming in and why they're getting this care and why you're doing what you're doing. It creates confidence in them, and when you get confidence in them, you're going to start to see some big changes. It means that they start to understand the cause and effect. Where did this problem come from? What's the effect of the care, and how does that affect changing the cause of my problem? And you can explain that neurologically. You're going to get enrollment with patients rather than ordering or telling them that they need to come in to see you so many times. They're going to say, well, this is the program, I want to enroll in this program because I want to get to that result. And so when I had people enrolling, I saw that the compliance went way up. It built the compliance like crazy. We had absolutely, we were in the 98% bracket of people completing their initial care program, and then we were in the 90% bracket of people that went on into some level of what we call wellness or now peak performance care. Compliance builds security. It was so nice to look into my appointment book and see 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, and even 12 months seeing people that were already booked in to my appointment book. That's a nice feeling. Not only gave me security, but it gave me the confidence in who I was in my practice, that it was a solid practice. Security builds success. Okay. Addressing the why, neuroscience behind the adjustment is something you have to be prepared to talk about. The research is there to establish brain connection. You need to have that on hand. Chiropractic alters brain function. You can show them and you can give them the research to take home. Neuroscience is behind all the techniques. It now brings us all together, and it can be measured clinically. And what it does is it causes an increase in the value of chiropractic. the elevation of who we are and what the service that we offered just went from getting rid of back pain to improving brain function, and that's a huge value. Improved brain function versus the reduction of pain or improved spinal curves, take your pick which you think you would rather be involved with. So the truth about cost, the perceived cost perceived value is really important. People look at the cost of buying some piece of equipment for their office, and if it doesn't generate income, it's a cost. If it generates income in your practice, whether it's through confidence, whether it's through generating an income center, whether it's through building a better relationship with your patients and being able to show them the differences, those are all not a cost, that's an investment. And you need to make investments regularly into your practice. Every year you should set aside some money that you're going to invest into your practice. But again, it answers the question. If it doesn't add to the value of your practice and generate an income, then it's a cost. No, we need investments. So that's where that real cost comes into play. People look at these things and they say, oh, that's way too expensive. No, what's really too expensive is when you go and buy a new car that does nothing for your practice whatsoever. You'd be smarter, much smarter buying a used car and taking that saving and buying a piece of equipment that's going to generate income in your office. Implementation. I've coached for years. I was coached for years. In my practice, I coached for over 10 years. I work with coaching groups, and I tell you what, the biggest challenge that we have with the practitioner is implementation. You come to training and you hear something great and you go back home and you never get around to implementing it. It's the key factor in making the changes in your office that you need to make in order to advance the practice. If you stay with the old systems, they're only going to yield old outcomes, and that old outcome is not getting you to that level of success that you would like to have. So you've got to change it, and that means there's going to be pain in the changing, and you're going to have to stick with it and work through it and get past the uncomfortable to the comfortable stage of the change in your office. You need to know that you know, which means that you need to be involved in these calls, you need to be involved in training, you need to do some reading, you need to get together with people that are like-minded, and you need to study with it. And it becomes a fun thing to learn, because that every time that you make an investment personally in your own knowledge, you're going to be able to translate that into your practice, and that's going to have more and more success. And then you have to act with authority. You know, fake it till you make it to begin with is the truth. But if you continue to fake it and not know what you're talking about, guess what? You're back and you're stuck into the dogma, and you're going to get caught, and that doubt is going to come up and get you sooner or later. So faking it and just being a con person is not the way to do it. You know, you have to say, I know this, I know it's right, I'm going to start doing it, and I'm going to continue to get my education with it. You need to be accountable. Those are the important issues. So Neuro Infinity is the instrument that's changed chiropractic big time. It's changed the profession. We've been out there for a lot of years, and we're watching the success level of people that are able to take this instrument and measure the changes in the nervous system of their patients. It offers the proof of the brain connection in a clinical setting. It's a 15-minute test. It's run by the staff. It adds an income center based on brain training after the adjustment. I mean, not only does it build confidence and increase your practice, but it also has an income center. And the tests meet current neuroscience standards. That's what every test that's in there is based on current neuroscience standards. And in doing so, it removes doubt, not just from the patient, but from you. And our goal is to then remove the doubt within this profession and get us all back together going in the same direction. I know it's like herding cats with the profession, but it can be done, and it can be done if you pass the word on. You've seen this. You need to go back and play this again. You need to forward this to your friends so they can see it and they can listen and they can start thinking about what's good about them. So let's go on to an open discussion time here. I have some questions here that you know you can address or come up with your own questions, your own statements. But here's the thing: why did you shift from structural base, vertebral subluxation to neurological base? What happened? What happened in your practice? What happened in your mind? How important was the Neuro Infinity involved in that? And what's changed in your practice? Has your income been influenced? Has your retention programs changed? What about your passion? And what would you recommend, talking if you had a stage of 10,000 chiropractors, what would you get up there and say to them based on this stuff? So let's open up the discussion time. I think we have Dr. Brian Jensen. Are you on?
Yes, Richard, I am.
What would you like to say?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, hello, first of all.
Hi.
It's just been a really interesting process. I was out of practice for about 5 years because I was, working within our profession, and bumped into you at a convention and saw the Neuro Infinity for the first time, and I thought, man, if I was back in practice, I would want this, because this explains in detail what I thought chiropractic was all about to begin with. And my chiropractic practice kind of devolved into that symptom-based practice. It was very frustrating, not very effective. It was an incredible source of burnout to me. And when I did go back into practice, I got the Neuro Infinity with me, and it's just absolutely changed everything. And talking about change in passion, it is definitely refired that. And so anybody that's out there that feels like they're just kind of slogging along and struggling with chiropractic, this has made an enormous difference in our practice. And we've really set ourselves apart from everyone in our area. Interesting conversation with a patient yesterday. I was going over one of her reevaluations, and she said, "Is this a typical response?" I said, not to be boastful or anything, but in this practice, this is pretty typical. But in other practices, I don't think so, because it's changed what we recommend. It's given us the data that we needed to make an appropriate long-term recommendation based on the seriousness of the health problems that we're seeing walk into our office now. So the Neuro Infinity is it's really opened up an amazing window for us into what's actually going on with our patients way beyond their symptoms. I think sometimes chiropractors, we're too good with the symptom side of practice, and it gives people a very false sense of wellness.
Wow, great stuff. I see that we have Dr. Laura Hansen. Are you on, Dr. Laura?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
There you are.
Hi, how are you?
I am super, and I'm glad to have you two on. I hope we have some more speaking up here. But Dr. Laura, I know that, man, what's happened to you since we first met is just been an incredible story. I'm just going to turn it over and let you go.
Well, it really has been a journey, but I really believe that it's all coming together, even in the concept of what happened with my daughter, which I'm hoping you saw her movie. If not, I'm going to be reposting it again. I'm really trying to keep a journal, and I did a first part of it into a movie that's pretty spectacular. And so please be looking for it. I am going to post it again on Facebook, and I think that will just explain the story. There's so much emotion that went with that, and now nearly 9 months later, she's making such incredible progress. So why am I doing this? Well, I truly believe God was just getting me ready for what would be an event that would absolutely occur in our lives. The bullet points, though, are why did I get into this? The very first reason I got into this was because I wanted to validate the stress response, especially because of the work that I do with the reflex system. And, becoming a neurodevelopmental therapist was one thing, but parents really did not get what I was trying to describe. Oh, did you see your child do that? And it wasn't concrete enough. And so I think back on that day that you and I had lunch, and I first started using it, and I was able to quantify a stress response. And then it was just implementing and saying, okay, well, this is a great tool to help break that stress response. And so pushing myself to use it. And then it was just obvious because the patients were changing. The kids are changing faster. You know, when you learn all these different pieces that I have in that, as my kids call it, I have that soup of credential initials after my name. There's all these things that you can do, but they take a long time. And in the world that we live in today, people want changes now. And that's what the Neuro Infinity is for me. I can literally transform the mind. I can literally help these people get back in touch with themselves in real time, and the results are phenomenal. And it isn't even with just kids. I had a woman, 65 years old, who came in. She was very skeptical, and she had been on Prozac for about 25 years. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Zoloft for 25 years. She really didn't even know why she was on Zoloft, but her memory was going, and she asked me, can you help me? And I said, I believe I can. And we went through it, and we did the process. She did 40 sessions. She made incredible changes. The crescendo of her outcome is this. One of the greatest stressors is where she was working. She really didn't like where she was working. She wanted people to change, and they wouldn't. It was a lot of lip service. Well, long story short, her last day is going to be January 29th. She is no longer going to, or 31st, she's going to no longer be working for this company, and she's going to start doing things to enjoy living. And there's no way that she would have made a decision like that in the prior state. She's no longer on Zoloft. It was awesome to have this tool. She went to her medical provider. I didn't take that on. She told her medical provider what she wanted to accomplish. They started shaving it down and shaving it down. She had 2 rough patches in getting off of that medication that I truly believe, because of the neurofeedback, she was successful. So, I mean, I see people's lives change every day. So why am I so passionate about it is because it changes the brain, and it helps people become who they really are. That tagline on my forms is transformed by the renewing of your mind. It is that if I can take the interference off of your brain, those ruminating thoughts, that anxious behavior, that inability to quiet your mind, that cognitive sluggishness, if I can take that off, then you will truly become who you are designed to be. And that is truly why I do this. And to go one step further, I'm so excited. I'm getting certified in neurofeedback at the end of February. I am getting my BCIA, and I am ecstatic because this gives us an opportunity to take this to a whole new level. And I'm honored to have walked beside you, Dr. Richard Barwell. I'm honored to have been part of what you have created. And I want so much to help you get this exactly where you want it to be. I love you.
Thank you very much, and I love you back. It's been interesting watching this whole thing unfold. I see that we have Dr. Craig Gordon on. Can we unmute him and see if we can have a conversation with Dr. Gordon? I'll wait and see if we can get that. Dr. Gordon practices in New Zealand, and I would love to hear from him. So I'll wait to see if Dee Dee can put that together.
I have him unmuted, so it's on him.
Okay. Dr. Gordon, are you there?
He may not have a mic.
We'll let him scramble. He didn't know he was going to get picked on, but when I can see him there, it's just because he's had this for a while in his office, and I know he's had some incredible things going on in his office using the Neuro Infinity.
Yeah, he actually just chimed in with the chat that he doesn't have a microphone.
Oh, get the microphone. What I want to go back, and I'm just going to ask these two again here. One area I really want to sort of hit on is what's happened with retention in your office because of this? Has there been a change? I can go to
Richard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. It's really made it a lot easier to make appropriate recommendations, and when people can see the progress, number one, they feel progress, but when they can see the results in our reports, and we look at posture and structure and functional movement and a lot of different things that a lot of chiropractors look at in our office. But we can document these things, not just the changes in the brain, but the changes in all of these other areas that we traditionally look at. It gives them reason to continue. So compliance has been very, very good. Retention has been good and getting better all the time. We continue to get better. We're continually refining our practice, how we communicate these ideas to people, and it just has been an awful lot of fun. Patients know, a lot of people have had other chiropractic experiences in the past. They know that this is much, much different. And we had kind of an interesting story the other day. We had a new patient come in for their report of findings, and this young man brought his father, who's been under chiropractic care for many years by his best friend, and about halfway through the report he says, "Excuse me," he goes, "This isn't about me, but I need to be here." He says, "This is way different than anything I've ever seen, but you can't tell my friend because I don't want to hurt his feelings." So the message is different, the results are different, and it definitely improves retention.
You know, and isn't that just important? You said something of what sets you apart from other DCs in your area. Having a unique selling feature is the key to a very successful business. I don't care what business it's in. You have to have something that's unique. Otherwise, people have no reason to come to you. When you're doing this, it's so unique and so powerful that it really does set you aside. It's incredible. I don't know if there's anybody that wants to ask questions. The best way to probably do this right now, if you've got a question to ask, is to just type it in. I think you can type it down at the bottom on your screen, and Dee Dee can spot it and maybe unmute you, and we can get you on and you can ask your questions.
Well, can I chime in on the last question about so the way, because I think this has been really helpful, and I think it might be attractive. When I do my report of findings with the patients, first of all, this is the very first thing somebody has done when they come into the office, and then I move into my neurological and structural assessments. But when I present my management plan, it is based on a minimum of 40 sessions. Everything out there says that the majority, now there are some things that you can definitely do within 20 sessions, and I definitely don't want to make it sound like it's, you know, a cookie cutter, because I'm never about that, but I just use the words. It's typically a minimum of 40 sessions, and I do the entire management plan. I total up all costs, and then they divide that up into monthly payments. So when patients pay up front for their monthly, they are more committed to coming in like they're supposed to. And then by the time you get done with the first month, they've already started to see changes. There's no more selling on this. So I really wanted to add that, because I don't process insurance. I'm cash only. And I got to be honest with you, it's never been a hard sale. It's never been a point of contention with people. And then the results make them feel even more committed.
And you said it right there. See, it's never been a point of contention, because once you explain the why and you give them the proof that they can see it, guess what? You remove the doubt from their mind. And when you remove the doubt from their mind, Now you have, you're going to get compliance out of this thing, and you're going to have confidence, and the patients are going to have confidence in what's going on because they know they're not being sold a bill of goods. I mean, those are very important points that you just made. And this is the thing that drives me a little crazy. It's like, this is so straightforward and so easy. I wish the heck that I'd had it when I was in practice, because it would have made my life a whole lot easier, because you have the tools now to be able to prove this stuff to people and what you're doing. You're not just going like, how are you feeling today, Mrs. Brown? I mean, that for years, that's all we've ever had. And you based your success on people saying, I feel better. But are you really better? And that was the whole point on this. Any questions come in, Dee Dee?
None at the moment, but they also know that they've got a microphone. They can raise their hand through the control panel, and I can just unmute them, and they can ask the question direct to yourself, either Dr. Laura or Dr. Brian.
Super. Dee Dee, you've been in this profession forever and a day, and sort of
now.
You wonder what's wrong with you because you've stuck around these crazy chiropractors. We all love you, and we love your dedication. Is there anything, I would love to have you say something about what your sort of experience and opinion on this whole thing is, and the changes in the profession with it.
Okay, well, I can tell you that the things that I've seen personally with our clients is that just a renewed sense of energy and practice. Like when I see them at seminars and I see them again and again, you know, at these programs over the years, that they just are continuing to grow with this. You know, taking chiropractic back to its neurological, you know, beginning is just something in practice that's you know, life-changing for them and their patients. They're getting better compliance, their income's better, I'm seeing their lives change. I'm getting comments from spouses about how happy their husband and or wife is to just get up and go back into practice. So to me, that's very rewarding. You know, just seeing the growth that I'm seeing in people that I've known over the past 20, 25 years working in the profession.
You know, and the interesting thing about it is the people that have endorsed this whole approach and endorsed our equipment is, you know, it's technique masters, Dr. Steve Hoffman, gosh sakes, we can just go through this list. It's incredible. Ted Corin, I can't even remember the people we've had out. Marvin Telsky, gosh sakes, Bill Duresti. We've had a ton of these people come out and take a look at this and go like, wow, this is something. We've had Dr. Sigafus say, this is chiropractic. This is real chiropractic. That's how he endorsed this whole concept. I mean, these are some hardcore people, and I could go through the list over the years of the people that looked at this thing. It's incredible. The Master Circle, Dr. Dennis Perman and Dr. Bob Hoffman, I mean, they have really taken a look at this and built a whole program of coaching around these concepts. So it's not like we're just alone out there. We've got some of the big hitters in this profession that have taken a look at this and said, this is where we need to be. So if you're not even looking at this, or if you're not considering this, or if you're not willing to make the commitment to make the changes in your life and your practice to get you a better result, you got a challenge. You really do. You're going to get stuck in your old routine that is just going to continue to beat you down. Anybody have anything to say on a final note?
I actually had a question come through, Dr. B.
Okay.
Dr. Richard Rubella from Moses Lake wants to know, what is the reasonable time frame to achieve neurologically stability / change or better, and numbers of sessions, adjustments, and feedback?
Let's ask Dr. Laura this question. She's an expert in this. I could feel the pressure, Dr. Laura.
This is where I've spent quite a bit of time. It really is an average of about 40 sessions. So you have to go through the process. So if you look at that SRE, and you got to work on reducing power, you've got to improve engagement, let alone starting with biofeedback and getting some of those systems on, like skin conduction and temperature, improving heart rate variability, then moving into the neurofeedback. You know, it's a sequence of events, and you've got to get the brain back online, and then you've got to teach it how to communicate properly. So I would say a good solid amount of time is about 40 sessions. Some of these other things like autism and Asperger, they can take up to 60. And lots of times now, and that's about 2 times a week. If they want to go a little bit faster, you can go 3 times a week. That's perfectly fine. I don't think you should do it more than 3 times a week because I think you need that time of integration. But it can take even longer, and that's why what I'll do is I might just run an assessment, not necessarily expecting brain waves to change in 30 days, but maybe the temperature is back online. So feel free to do things like that. But again, how long have you been in this state? And giving somewhere to 4 to 5 months to get things back. And as you're going through this, you're literally learning how to do it for yourself so that you can keep it going. So there's so many benefits to doing neurofeedback. You really do get resolution, but don't hurry the process. You have to explain, you have this many things offline and we got to bring it back online.
One of the things that Dr. Havoc talked about, and she said it takes between 3,000 and 5,000 repetitions to build new neural pathways. 3,000 to 5,000 repetitions. Now wait a minute, hang on a second. You're talking 40 to 60 for major changes with people with big challenges. What's the difference? The chiropractic adjustment is the difference. And the reason it's the difference and why it's so powerful is it creates a neurological pattern interrupt to those programs that are in that central nervous system, keeping it locked into a pattern. The brain cannot self-regulate. It needs some help with it, and that's what the adjustment and why the adjustment works is it creates that pattern interrupt, and then when you retrain using biofeedback and neurofeedback after the power of the adjustment to interrupt that pattern, you're getting results that would normally take between 3,000 and 5,000 repetitions in what? 30 to 40, 50, 60 times. That's it. That's staggering. And that's why you have to really understand where the role of chiropractic is in this. You know, we don't change the problem. We don't treat diseases or illnesses. All we do is create a better expression of the innate ability of that body to get back into balance. And then if you can add retraining to help it along the way, you really move things along. Anything else?
I would just really try to explain what it is that you're doing and not focusing on necessarily, let's try to get this done as fast as possible, but rather utilizing working with the brain while you are doing your chiropractic management will ensure that we will get you the results that you're looking for in the most efficient time for your brain. Everybody's different. This is not a cookie cutter recipe.
All those of you that have been out there that have taken advanced training with IAFNR, International Association of Functional Neurology, or with CARIC, this is just something that is, it belongs right in this whole mix, because now with all that incredible work you're doing, you have another way of being able to show pre and post changes. And that's why they use this as their introduction at the Life Neuro Center. They do the Neuro Infinity test before and after care so that they can see what kind of changes are going on and where they need to be focused. Anybody else? Dee Dee, anything in?
Nope, that's it for questions.
Super. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you want more, let Dee Dee know. And if you want to participate, let Dee Dee know. We'd love to have this. If we have more people coming on board, it's great. And I want to thank Dr. Brian Jensen and Dr. Laura for taking time out of their busy schedule and being on board with this. It's really nice. And hi to Moses Lake.
And one more thing, Dr. Barwell, I'd like to announce that the next training dates are March 24th through the 26th. That seminar will be held in Atlanta. We do welcome a limited number of guest offices, so if there's anyone out there that's just wanting to, kind of experience what the Neuro Infinity is, you can attend that. You can also contact me for information on that, but also to let you know that the timing's right now to implement this into your practice so that you've got a few scans under your belt so that when you get to that training seminar in March, you're ready to just hit the ground running. Welcome to, all of you, and I hope you had a great webinar.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for helping us out.
Okay, I'll let's have some dinner.